Yeah, come on in.
Okay, so basically I'm here for 2 matters, but you're not chargeable, or it's nothing. I'll explain to you. So the first thing is, okay, so you know the Crime Stopper lines.
Yes.
Okay, so did you call them?
I had made a couple of reports through Crime Stoppers, yes.
Okay.
And
So
the reason I went through Crime
It's
Stoppers,
because Crime Stopper, we're not authorized to tell you it's Crime Stoppers.
I
Because
understand. Okay.
it needs to remain anonymous, you know?
Yeah. The reason that I went through Crime Stoppers is because obviously having been assaulted in my home by one of your officers, then arrested for calling 911 on him during the attack, I obviously afraid to go to the police department. I'm afraid if I cross paths with him, I'll be either assaulted or charged with breaching my release conditions. So going to the police is not an easy option for me. I don't have a telephone, I do have internet, so that was my one way to report the crimes without running a risk of being assaulted or arrested.
Okay.
Does that make
But I
sense?
think you were involved personally, I mean, with him, right?
No, I had never met the man before. He came over with my ex-wife and her daughter, and they attacked me. I did not attack them. So basically, it's from my perspective, it's no different than any other home invasion.
For no reason? Or?
My ex was trying to shut my business down by taking away all my work tools. The bottom line was the pastor of our church was a witness that she had sold me all the photographic equipment almost a full year before the separation. And her coming here and taking the photographic equipment by force basically left me unable to make any money to feed myself. She was intercepting money from the insurance company and
that's
causing me to starve on purpose. I consider that to be a domestic violence situation considering my circumstances. If the roles were reversed and I was using my control over the money and marital assets to make her go hungry in order to force her out onto the street as opposed to going through family court to get a legal eviction, I think that people would call that domestic violence. I think that they would call it assault. I mean, starvation is starvation. I went days on end. I had to beg for food from neighbors.
So all you cook here with the microwave?
I can when I have food, yes. There were several instances, I think 6 in total, where she intercepted money from the insurance company. The insurance company originally was putting out checks for a living allowance, and they issued checks for property replacement. The living allowance stuff was $25 per day per person, and the insurance company, the adjuster's name was Corey Malkowski, had originally issued 1 check for Jerry and 1 check for me. My portion was $25 per day for me in my name. Jerry's portion was $25 per day for Jerry and 2 boys, and that was issued in her name. And she had a separate address where she lived, and her position was that, and because of our circumstances, with the business, with all the marital assets, she kept everything in her name. She kept control over everything. My situation was, if she was mad at me, she'd cancel my insurance or deny me gas money, so she controlled my movements, so I couldn't go places if she didn't want me to go. We had a vehicle which had a crack in the windshield which she wouldn't fix for the better part of 2 years, which means I couldn't take my driver's license test. I had a learner's permit, but not an actual driver's license for that vehicle. So again, I was restricted to only driving the vehicle when she allowed me to drive it. She kept all the money.
You guys are you still together? Or?
The legal separation papers have not yet been filed. My lawyer doesn't have any money to file the papers because I can't pay her, and she won't do it because she's trying to get me out illegally. She thinks if she can put me out on the street that she can get everything and I get nothing. So that's the circumstances.
So who owns the house here?
We own the house. It is marital property. We've been together in a common law relationship for about 9 years. We have an 8-year-old boy who's turning 8 in a week.
So is your name on the agreement here?
It doesn't have to be. Under Manitoba law, common law, married, if you live together for more than a year or if you have a child.
No, it's more than 3 or if you have a child.
Well, we had a child within the first year, so everything is legally ours, but on paper, things are in her name, which gives me no access to anything, no access to bank accounts, no access to register a vehicle, no access to money. When she put the company in my name and sold me all the equipment, she came back and took all the equipment away from me, and then started trying to give a little bit back at a time, but she was demanding things in return. So she took a bunch of stuff, and like she would do things like she took the money from the insurance company that was supposed to buy software that I need for the computer. She kept the software.
So you work right now?
Well, I'm trying. I work part-time as a photographer. That's it. I'll give you another example of how she sabotaged the business. I've worked for national magazines.
And whose bike is this?
Well, technically it's mine, but I can't drive it until I get the registration turned over, so that has to go through the courts.
Oh.
So I shoot for national magazines, I shoot the pictures, and Jerry was collecting all the money. This is stuff that I've shot. And Jerry would take whatever money I got paid, this number, 204-296-6974. That is our business line. For this business, which she sold to me, she took that phone, she went to Apple Computer and had them change the .mac account password so she could get into it and delete all my emails and stuff. That's typical stalking behavior, but I can't get any satisfaction from the RCMP when I file a complaint. I get discriminated against because I'm a stay-at-home dad. They treat me like I'm a criminal, and actually I'm the person that's been starved, assaulted, robbed, tossed out on the street, locked out of my house at 30 below, and I can't get access to my bank account to get my own money. So when
she's saying there's no money. That's what she's saying.
There was a $51,000 check to replace the contents of the house from the insurance company. She kept it all. I had possessions in that house too, things that were mine, gifts. I had a large aquarium that was a Christmas present. I had motorcycle riding gear. That's very expensive stuff to replace. Helmets, gloves, boots, jackets, personal possessions, clothing. There's a number of things that she could have given. Plus the fact that the money that was in the bank account at the time she took off, half of that money was mine. There was a few $1,000s there. I did not have to be starving in a garage. I didn't have to be out on the street corner, and I don't have to be in a homeless shelter. All she had to do was recognize that the marital assets, I shouldn't have to go to a court order if I'm faced with starvation, but I do have to get court orders. But when she calls the insurance company and tells them to take the check that they've given to me in my name and give it to her, and then she withholds that check from me and tells me to get off the property or starve, and then proceeds to starve me for a week, that's...
It's not nice, but it's definitely not a police matter.
Well, no, I think that when you have a situation where you have one spouse that has a number of learning disabilities that she has claimed on our taxes as a dependent spouse,
but
dependent legally means dependent. She has control over me and the assets.
That's why it's a civil matter.
No, it's actually a physical assault. If this were reversed and the man was doing it to the woman, I don't think you guys would have any difficulty laying an assault charge on him. Because think about what happens to you physically when you go without the basic necessities of life. If somebody's going to shut off your power,
it's not an assault.
It's not physical harm.
No.
You don't view starvation as physical harm. No. Do you know what happens to you when you go hungry for, like, say 10 days, like in February, 10 days? 10 days without food. Let me tell you what that does to you. First of all, your stomach starts to shut down because there's no food in it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're constantly regurgitating acid because your stomach wants to digest food. There's nothing in it. That's causes you a lot of problems with pain, stomach aches. Then after your stomach shuts down completely, your body starts burning fat, and after a few more days, it stops burning fat, starts burning muscle tissue.
Mm-hmm.
When it's burning through muscle tissue to try and conserve body fat,
but tell me why it's criminal.
You're getting the same aches and pains because it is criminal. There are laws against denying. If this was a situation where you had a person that had control over an elderly person's finances, and deliberately starved that elderly person, you would charge them for abuse. If
Yeah,
this
but
was
they're
the
not in
case,
a relationship. You
it
are in a
doesn't
relationship.
matter what the relationship was. The point is, she had control over the money, and she used that control to inflict physical harm on me. If I was a child,
But it's indirect.
if I was a child, it is direct. It is direct.
If
She had
there's
direct control over the money.
If you would be a child, we can call CFS, and you can be removed and take care of. But because you're an adult, that's why it's civil.
It's not civil, it's assault. It's a physical harm.
Well, go in the criminal code and read what's assault mean, and you'll see there's no, and go into all those.
Denying the necessities of life, it actually is in the criminal code. If
Well, I
you-
don't think it's the case right now.
Well, it has been the case. 10 days without food is a tremendous amount of physical harm to a body.
Yeah, but look all the value you got here. You got a car. You're driving a car.
That's a borrowed car.
You can put the gas in there.
That's today. That's not in the beginning of February when she was withholding the money.
You know, it's not a case of, severe abuse for, what I can see here is a lot of money standing here.
A lot of money?
A lot
What
of
can I do with
expensive
it?
stuff. You can sell it for you.
No, I cannot. I need the registration to sell that.
It's not under your name.
She kept everything under her control.
It's under earning.
That's right. I have absolutely no access to any of the marital assets, except
That's
for the
why you
fact
need to
that
take a lawyer and get that straightened out.
That's right, but you know what the lawyer says when it comes to issues like her deliberately starving me, denying the necessities of life? She claimed me as a dependent on our taxes. That makes me a dependent. She is obligated to provide the basic necessities of life. Starving me for 10 days in order to illegally evict me, that's abuse. It's physical harm. If you want to starve yourself for 10 days and feel muscle aches and stomach aches, the pain that I was inflicting,
That's how it goes. You're in perfect shape. You can get a job tomorrow morning anyway, basically. You can't help yourself.
you know what? Let's address that. First of all, I have a number of learning disabilities, including Asperger's syndrome, dyslexia, dyscalculia. I have a grade 8 education. I have spent 16 years, 2 marriages, as a stay-at-home parent. Stay-at-home, that means basically the same thing as a housewife. Every dime that I made through this business, she took. Went into her bank account, she took the money. Now, when I'm in this position,
I spoke with her yesterday, and she's saying that you never did. All that, I'm not going to say what she said, but...
irrelevant. Let's just ignore what she's saying for a second here, and let's just put it this way. She had a stay-at-home housewife. That's what she wanted. She had it for a number of years. Her position right now that she owns everything and I own nothing is not in accordance with the law. What she's doing to try to evict me illegally is domestic violence. I cannot just go out and get a job. I also have a medical condition called spondylosis where the discs in my neck are disintegrating and I get pain in my neck and shoulders. I get paralysis in my hands. I may have good days where I can work for a while, but I cannot go out and do construction on a regular basis.
Okay.
I'm too crippled up to do that. I have done work. I do work like I put in all the flooring in the house.
Photography?
Even with the photography, right now she has totally destroyed the business. As I showed you in that magazine, she took the phone with that phone number, which means she took the client list. She took the password, she called Apple, had them change the passwords to get into my email account and shut off my website and deleted all my emails. She has tanked my business.
What about...
She took the vehicle, which leaves me stranded here and unable to get to places, which means that if I get a job offer in a city, I can't carry this equipment and get there. This car is recent. This is not over the last 6 months. She's been doing this on a regular basis for 6 months. She called the insurance company and had them take the checks that were coming to me in my name and give them to her, then she withheld them. Then she had them change the checks so that they weren't being put in my name anymore. That's something you can verify, and you can see that she deliberately took control of that money. And the fact that once she got control of it, I was starved. And that the intent was to illegally evict me. You look at the home invasion, which involved one of your colleagues. He came over here with his girlfriend and his girlfriend's mother, and they took by force the equipment to shut my business down. The fact that I got some of it back, some of it, not all of it, is irrelevant. When they took it, they shut me down and prevented me from working. When they prevented me from working, she then took the insurance checks, and I wound up starving. Now, when you consider the physical effects of having somebody deny you food, somebody who you were dependent on, somebody who had total control over every aspect of your life, who then takes everything away and leaves you in a garage starving while she's out spending $51,000 of our money, That's abuse. That is domestic violence. It is causing physical harm on purpose. It's no different than any other type of assault. The weapon may be food, but the impact is physical harm. And you can ask anybody what it'll do to your body and how much hardship and pain it'll cost you if you had to go hungry for 10 days in a row, nothing to eat. And for want of what? Not being able to get your own money out of a bank account.
What's your plan for tomorrow?
What's my plan for tomorrow? I have no plans for tomorrow. Why?
Well, I think you should work on something.
Well, I'm working on trying to get some photography jobs. It's hard to get people to
Exactly.
drive all the way up here. It's hard to get people to drive all the way up here. But I do work on that on a daily basis. That's about the limits to what I can do. That's where my skill set is. And I've only got half my equipment and I've only got half my software. And until the lawyer gets me the rest of that stuff, I cannot get this business up and running to the point where I can go out and shoot for magazines again. Right now, I've got a borrowed car. That is intermittent. That is only available sometimes. It's not available all the time. When I've got it sometimes, I can try to get jobs. But when I haven't got access to it, it's not my car. My friend, he comes back from his job, he needs his car. It's a friend of mine. He works, he's a long-distance trucker. When he's on the road, I can borrow his car. When he's not on the road,
What's his name?
his name is Robert. So the point here is, I have had to beg for food from the neighbors when there was a check issued with my name on it and it was being withheld for the purposes of committing an illegal eviction.
And what's the lawyer said about that check?
The lawyer has made arrangements to sit down with the insurance company for March to secure March checks for me directly. But the lawyer was not able to act for February, was not acting on my behalf for the first 2 times that she did this. The lawyer is going to be pursuing the sale of this house to get me my share of the marital assets from Jerry. The lawyer is going to be going after my share of the assets that were in the house that never got replaced. But the lawyer is telling me that when it comes to things like Jerry assaulting me, starving me, trying to illegally evict me, changing the locks. Now this is something that you can charge her with.
No.
Yes, you can actually. Changing the locks to force an eviction. She called the insurance adjuster. She ordered them to change the locks. They changed the locks.
That's her house. She
No,
can do
no, no,
whatever
no.
she wants.
No, she can't. You're wrong on that. You need to look up on the law. On family law, she cannot. If
We're
you-
not going to hack on the family law. That's the thing. All those queen bench, we don't hack on them.
I'm going to suggest something to you. On a different occasion, Geraldine had assaulted me.
Yeah.
I had called the police twice on one
Yeah,
day.
I was here once.
I'm going to go back a couple years. We're going to talk about how that motorcycle came to be. She assaulted me on one occasion. I called the police. They asked her to leave the house and go calm down. She came back. I tried to lock her out of the house because she was mad and looking for a fight. She climbed in through the window and assaulted me a second time. They charged me. She hired a lawyer to defend me on the false charge that she laid to avoid getting charged herself. Then, when that lawyer got those charges dropped, she bought me the motorcycle as an apology for having me falsely arrested. This kind of crap goes on in our relationship. On one occasion when she took off, I changed the locks. The police came to me and they said, you change them back or we're going to arrest you because it is against the law for changing those locks. This house belongs to both of you, and neither one of you is legally allowed to change those locks without the consent of the other. And that's why when she changed those locks and locked me out of here at 31 below, that's why I reported it. Because I know, based on a previous conversation where I had tried to change the locks to stop her from coming in and insulting me when she's psychotic.
Yeah, but technically you left the house, right?
No, I haven't left the house.
Well, technically you are outside the residence right now. You're living in the garage.
Well, I have my, come on, let's go. I have my internet connection out here. This is true.